Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the FCS Football Channel. And Manchester United have drawn with Chelsea by 1-0 and I've just realised I've still got my TV sound on, so I better mute that quickly. There we go. So how did the game go? Well, it wasn't great, was it? We started really well. We were on the front foot, and then Graham Potter made a big call, and that was changing the how his Chelsea team were playing. So he went to a back four. Is this all right? But let me just check, make sure the stream's working. So yeah, he changed. Working. We'll roll with it. It should be working. So yeah, so we played really well for the first 35 minutes. Graham Potter made a big call by changing, by taking Kukurea off for Mateo Kovacic and going to a back four as opposed to the back three in which they started with. And it was a call that paid off. And I think after that call, Chelsea then kind of took control of the game. And I think Sky Sports there showing the expected goal 0.85 to United, 1.07 to Chelsea. Given a penalty is about 0.73 expected goals. United really should have won that game, but like I say, Chelsea changed it, made a big call, and I think really that's what gave Chelsea the opportunity to go and they were much better. And while their XG was high, that was because an XG is obviously you have to have a shot to be able to for it to be an expected goal in a sense. And Chelsea had chances, but the final pass was just slightly off, or Aubameyang wasn't able to direct it goals or get the shot away, which obviously means while that was a good chance and really Aubameyang should be scoring it, according to XG, that chance didn't happen. So that's one of the flaws with obviously XG, the metric. But generally, I thought United we played fairly well. Like I say, opening 35 minutes, we could have scored and we should have scored. And that's kind of the problem United have. We can, at times when we can dominate, we don't always we don't put the ball in the back of the net. You look at the Spurs game. We were fantastic against Spurs and we did win that game 2-0. But the amount of chances, especially in that first half, that United missed, really could have cost us. And that's the worry for me, for Manchester United, that we do consistently kind of waste good opportunities. And that is something we have to put right at some point and start putting away these chances when they come to us, because we won't keep getting away with it. We got away with it today. We got away with it against Spurs, but you need to start putting your chances away. And that's something about Marcus Rashford that is a problem for me. I think Rashford generally he was fine today. I don't think he was particularly good, but I don't think he was dreadful. But he's not a striker. He's not a number 9. He's not someone that is a consistent goal scorer in a way that you need a number 9 to be. And that's kind of where the question of, did we miss Cristiano Ronaldo come up? And in a sense, I think we did. I'm not putting any blame on Erik ten Hag. He made the absolutely correct decision to drop Cristiano Ronaldo. He did not deserve to be part of this squad, and he absolutely should have been suspended. But at this time, without Martial, I said it throughout the game, you look at that subs bench, that the attacking players there aren't good enough. And we got to the point where Bruno Fernandes went up top. McTominay was up top. And You can't. That's not a good enough position to be in. And I think I've had Cristiano Ronaldo to be able to come on, the game could have been and would have looked differently. And I think in that sense we did miss Ronaldo. But that, like I said, I think he was absolutely right to be dropped, and he shouldn't have been part of the squad because his actions against Spurs were unacceptable. But let's call a spade a spade. We could have used a player who of the experience of Ronaldo, of the quality of Ronaldo, because while Ronaldo isn't the player he once was, he isn't the best striker in the world anymore. He is better than Anthony Elanga. He is better than Garnacho. He is better than Palestri. Have him then come on the bench instead of having to bring on Elanga would have been more beneficial, and it would have allowed us to try and change things up at a slightly differently. Because I don't think Bruno particularly worked at number 9. But if we had Ronaldo on the bench, maybe you could have brought off, let's say Sancho, put taking off Eriksen, let's say, put Bruno at number 10, put Rashford out on the left and Ronaldo up top. And a little bit earlier, maybe that would have worked a little bit better than when we put Bruno up top and had Rashford on the left, which only really lasted about 5 to 10 minutes. But I mean, we can talk about the penalty and why we lost the game. I think the referee was shocking, to be honest. You look at the penalty that we gave away. Look, is Tommy stupid? Yes, he is. Of course he is. There's no reason to be holding Armando Broja the way he is. That being said, we see it week in, week out. It happens in every penalty box up and down the country, and has done for 10 years, 20 years. And penalties aren't given away every single game for it. So the fact that a penalty has been given away today for it is, to me, an injustice and just sums the referee up. And to be brutally honest, Anthony gets booked for his first foul, which was a slightly late shoulder to shoulder, and I don't even know. Jorginho was booked for completely taking out Elanga on a counter attack and gets booked for the same for it, as if those two challenges are worth an equal punishment. If Anthony's is a yellow card, for me, you've got to send Jorginho off. And Jorginho's challenge isn't a red card. But my point is essentially, where's the consistency sort of thing? You can't book a player for nothing, essentially, and then when someone does something that is actually worth a yellow card, only then give them a yellow card. If you're going to book somebody for nothing, then something that would be a yellow card then should then be pushed up to a red. But that's just one example of the referee. He was shocking, and I feel that happens. Look, we end up talking about referees so often, whether that's in the Premier League. I mean, I think the Europa League standards of refereeing is awful too. But the refs just aren't good enough. And at times, look, it's something that was kind of targeted at Mike Dean quite a lot. About how he always tries to. It feels as if they're trying to make the game about them and they're trying to be the centre of attention. And I feel like the referee was that today. I really do. I think he kind of killed the game with a stupid penalty decision that wasn't a penalty, with stupid bookings, for fuck all. Shocking refereeing performance today. And I think it kind of, in a sense, ruined the game. But look, with all that being said, I think it's important to kind of remember that this is Chelsea. This is a very good Chelsea team. They're top 4. They're 4th place for a reason. They're a good side. Graham Potter's a good manager. So coming out of this game with a point isn't a bad result. Isn't the end of the world. At the start of the game, if you went to me right, you're going to start well. Chelsea are then going to come back into it. It's going to be a fairly even game. Would you take a 1-1 draw? I would say yeah, because Stamford Bridge isn't an easy place to go, especially now Potter's there. They're not gonna be a walkover for the other teams in this league, in this division. And I think a lot of teams will struggle against them, whether that's Man City, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. They'll struggle going to Stamford Bridge this year. That's if I remember Chelsea. Have Chelsea played Arsenal? I feel like they have. No, they haven't. So, but Chelsea have played Tottenham. And look, I mean, Tottenham got a draw at Chelsea. So, yes, not the result we wanted, not the result that I feel like we could have got, but not the end of the world. So we take it, I guess. But look, before we get into the player ratings, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. And of course, do get your player ratings in to the live chat as well. We can kind of see where my opinions rank with your guys's as well. It was some game, wasn't it? I wasn't quite in tears, but I was close. But look, let's get underway. First up is David De Gea. I think De Gea generally had a good game. Nothing he could do about the penalty, really. It's a kind of a 50-50. He was all right, De Gea. He gets an average 6, David De Gea. Diego Dalot. I think Dalot was fairly quite good tonight. I don't have really many complaints with him. It could be a 6. I'll give him a 7. I thought Dalot was fairly good today. Varane and Martinez, I think were both good. I'll give Varane a 7, and I'll give Martinez an 8. I think those two have a great partnership together. And I think they kept Chelsea quiet today, didn't they? The goal comes through a penalty. Neither of those are at fault. Like I say, Chelsea were fairly quiet. De Gea didn't have much to do, and that comes through those two centre backs and partly Casemiro. They were good. We should have won this. Chelsea nowhere near good enough. Only if we have a striker good at the. Only if we had a striker good in the air. That's why no one crosses. Ronaldo plays, they will cross. I don't agree. I don't really agree. Ronaldo's played a lot of games this season. We still don't really put loads of crosses in. We don't. Ronaldo's. Well, I don't even remember the last header Ronaldo scored for United. The last header I can remember him scoring is against Atalanta last year. That was probably over a year ago. So it is something that this United team have to work on. We have to start getting crosses in. And there are opportunities where I think I look at it and think, why have we not put a cross in there? I said it earlier. I said it in the game. There was an opportunity for Bruno and Anthony to try and both get crosses in, but neither of them did, and we ended up just trying to overplay it. So I agree we need to get some more crosses into the box. But I mean, look where the goal came from. It came from a cross from Shaw, who is next on our player ratings, and I think Luke Shaw had a good game today. Got the assist for the goal, was solid, and I think Luke Shaw, he's a fantastic player. I've always said it, I've always thought it. He is great. He is the bee's knees, Luke Shaw. He's got a lot of unfair criticism over the last year. But some of it justified. He rightly lost his place to Malacia at the start of this season, but he's earned it back and he's playing great, Luke Shaw. He got the assist. I'm going to give Luke Shaw an 8. I was happy with Luke Shaw today. Why can't I just draw a simple There we go. Casemiro. He's the bollocks, isn't he? He is the bollocks. He just insert the clip of that the old geezer crying about Wan-Bissaka constantly winning the ball. Because he just wins the ball so much, Casemiro. He's a monster. Such a good ball winner in that midfield area. And he gives the defence a platform and gives the attack the platform to go and attack and not have to worry so much about the defensive side of the game. At the same time, he gives that defence protection. And that's why we look so much better defensively since Casemiro's gone in there, regardless of what the partnership is, because he is just so good. And he is getting... I still don't even think he's at his very, very best. And he's quality. He's absolutely quality. Got the goal that eventually won us the game. And because of that, I'm going to give him a 9. That is an awful 9. And he's going to get my man of the match. I think this is the second game in a row he's got man of the match as well. He would have got an 8 if it weren't for the goal. Luke Shaw probably would have got a 7 if it weren't for the assist. But because they got the goal and the assist, they go up a rating. So I'm happy to give them a 8 and 9. Eriksen, I'm going to give him a 6. I don't think Eriksen was at his best today. And obviously he came off. He was all right. He weren't great. He weren't awful. He did a job. Then went up to number 10. He was all right. He weren't bad, Eriksen. I don't think he was on the level of the likes of Diogo Dalot, Varane, slightly below them. So I'm happy. A 6 isn't a bad rating still. You have to remember that. 6 is still average. And an average performance isn't a bad one. So I'm happy to give Christian Eriksen a 6. He weren't bad. He weren't great. Jadon Sancho. It's a tough one. He came off early, and I think it was the right choice to take him off. I don't think he was awful. Maybe slightly below average. Gets a 5. Yeah, 5 for Sancho. He needs to start performing at his level, because at the moment, I struggle to see how he continues to play for United. We know Martial, when he's back fit and if he can stay fit, Martial plays up top. Rashford then will move to the left, and then what does that mean for Sancho? Obviously, Sancho had a great pre-season playing on the right, but we've signed Anthony for, what was it, £80 million? Anthony's going to play. He's going to play. And that then leaves Jadon Sancho in a situation where he's on the bench again. And he's having to try and make the most of sub appearances and try and make an impact off the bench. And look, against Ammonia, when he started on the bench for Ronaldo, I think it was Ammonia, when McTominay scored last minute, he was great. And I hoped, and we all hoped, that was kind of the start of him kicking on under Ten Hag and really kind of making it, that left wing spot, a source of competition and a position of competition. But I think against Spurs, he weren't great. He weren't awful. He was an average. Today, I think he was slightly below average. And I do worry for Sancho. I do worry for him. Anthony. A 6 or a 7 for Anthony, really. I'm going to go with a 6. He became a lot quieter as the game went on. Creatively, probably could have done more. He didn't play badly, Anthony. He was average. Similar to Eriksen. Bruno Fernandes, feel like he's a similar level. He did go up top, which he's not a left winger, and he's not a striker. And when he played in those sort of those positions, he weren't at his best. For the first 35 minutes of the game, I thought he was fantastic. He probably gets a 6 as well. And Rashford gets a 5. Weren't at the races. And look, we've spoken about Rashford before. He's not a striker. We know he's not a striker. He's a left winger playing at striker. And look, in moments, he looks all right there. He obviously made a good run, and which was saved by Kepa in the end. And like, he can do a job there, and that's what he's doing. But he's not on the level of an Anthony Martial there, for example. And I think the drop off between Martial playing there and Rashford playing there is noticeable. Like I say, Rashford, he's playing out of position in a sense for me still. He did all right, but he weren't great. Potentially could have scored and should have scored. Could have potentially done more. It is what it is. It's a 5. It's not terrible. And look, I think you can kind of see where the problems were for United. Defensively, we're strong, 7 and 8. And even a 9 with Casemiro. But it's the forward players. Eriksen 6, Bruno 6, Anthony 6, Sancho and Rashford 5. That's where we've been let down today. And I go back to the title of the show. Did we miss Ronaldo? I feel like Ronaldo would have been at least useful in a game like this. And look, there's no guarantees that we would have won the game if we had Ronaldo, or we would have played any better. But Ronaldo would have brought something different, and maybe bring him on as opposed to Fred or McTominay or Alanga would have made a bigger impact on this game. Moving on to the subs bench, McTominay giving away the penalty means he gets a 5. Fred gets a 5 as well. I think he was stinky when he came on. Not a good performance from Fred. Lindelof, I think he was pretty good when he came on. He can have a 7 alongside with the likes of Varane. Alanga, he gets a 6. Wasn't really on long enough for anything higher. Wasn't amazing, wasn't terrible. So he gets a 6. And Erik ten Hag, give him a 7. Hide that from the chat. So yeah, a 7 for Ten Hag. I think he got the first right. Yeah, he got the first team right, and obviously we played really well at the start of the game. I would have liked to see a little bit better from United after the change of system from Chelsea. I thought we could have reacted a little bit better to that, and I think obviously Ten Hag in a sense has to take a bit of the blame for that. Generally, I thought the spread was poor. McTominay obviously gave away the penalty. They were his subs. But look, at the same time, a draw against Chelsea is a good result at Stamford Bridge. He had a difficult kind of game anyway with like Ronaldo. Like you have to suspend Ronaldo for leaving, especially given the fact he did it against Raul Vallecano. There was a discussion then about how it's not acceptable. You can't just walk out. You can't just leave early. And it was said then it's not good enough. Players can't do it. Ronaldo doing it again. Meant to be the role model. Refused to come on as well. He had to be punished. So Ten Hag made the right choice. But with Ronaldo missing, with Martial out injured, the game was always going to be made harder. And generally, we got a result that I think we all would have taken going into this game. So not bad, not great. So Ten Hag gets a 7. But like I say, man of the match goes to Casemiro for the goal that obviously seen us draw the game, and generally a goal that will hopefully kickstart his account for United, and it kind of just topped off a good performance from the Brazilian international. But look, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. And please do subscribe if you are new and you haven't already, like I just said. It helps to get that ticker going up and up and up, which is lovely, and helps to grow the community, which is obviously nice. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one in a bit.